For decades, the British automotive industry teeters on the brink of disaster.
If you go back, you see a whole bunch of brands that don't exist anymore today. MG, Triumph, all of these brands that came and went.
Today, UK auto manufacturing is finally on firm ground, thanks in large part to both Land Rover and its sub-brand, Range Rover.
Land Rover's still here. That's got to be a source of nationalistic pride. That's something they should be proud of.
These days, the United Kingdom exports over £34 billion worth of automobiles per year. That's more than 12% of the entire British economy. Astonishingly, Land Rover and Range Rover account for a quarter of that success.
When I go on holiday every year, it's fantastic to see the product all over the world, and it makes me immensely proud.
You've got the social club and people meet up and we all go out together. You've got a lot of mates here.
It's a good place to work that owes its existence to a single decision made in 1936. With war looming, the British government purchases 2 farms in the Midlands region of England and very quietly starts construction on a shadow factory for the fight they see coming. It's called the Solihull plant.
The primary purpose in those days was to produce an engine called the Bristol Hercules, which was a great, huge radial engine of around about 1,500 horsepower.
When the Rover Car Company's Coventry factory is bombed, the Marque moves into the Solihull plant and produces wartime equipment. But once the fighting ends, the facility languishes.
This factory was double the size to the original Rover factory, so it can produce double the product effectively, but the market wasn't really there for the car, so what can you produce?
The answer is to use the extra capacity to build Wilks's utilitarian dream.
Solihull was where the first Land Rover was built and where Land Rovers have been produced since 1948, so it's synonymous with Land Rover. It's the home of Land Rover, if you like.
The war doesn't just give Land Rover a home, but also influences the machine.
During the Second World War, Maurice Wilks was very, very heavily involved in all kinds of interesting programs which had some fairly advanced metallurgy.
One of those advanced metals is aluminium. It not only helps the Series 1 get better fuel economy, but also solves rust issues inherent with off-road vehicles of the time. Amazingly, the early fascination with the metal continues to pay off today, inside one of the largest aluminium body shops in the automotive world.
So we've come into Body Shop 1, where we make the Range Rover, the Autobiography. We also make the long wheelbase, which is our biggest model, together with the Range Rover Sport.
Solihull's body shop is 40,000 square meters. That's nearly the same size as Windsor Castle.
The body shop at Solihull is awesome. When you see literally hundreds of robots operating in silence, putting thousands of rivets to a fraction of a millimetre accuracy, making body shells that are so stiff, so strong, and so accurate, it's just so exciting to see.
It takes 680 robots and nearly 300 craftspeople, just over 10 hours to build a single Range Rover body.
There's 4 main work zones. The first one is underbody, and that's what puts the front, the middle, and the rear part of the undercarriage together.
Next, the new floor pan goes into the framing station, where they add the sides of the vehicle.
We're at the beginning of framing now, so behind me you can see an underbody that's coming in. That's the very start of the process. This is where we get to the point now where it starts to look like an actual car. We get the inner body sides coming together off of these robots, and they're gonna put them and close themselves in on the underbody itself.
The original Series 1 features an aluminium body bolted to a separate steel chassis. Today's tech is a little bit more advanced.
The body really is the skeleton that holds the whole vehicle together. It is the backbone of the complete car.
The modern Range Rover skeleton is called an aluminium monocoque. It's a construction process where the body and the frame are combined into a single structural element.
This is the next step in the dance. We're now into framing 2. Behind me, you can see we've got the outer body side currently being sealed, and that will then come together on the outside of the inner to make the fully framed cars.
There's a lot of electricity within the workforce, but very few actual sparks.
So there are no sparks. So we've moved into a new design. We're now in a aluminum body shop, and with the aluminum comes the ability to rivet. We put 3,722 boron-coated steel rivets into the aluminum.
All those rivets need a lot of adhesive.
So there's 161 meters of an adhesive. It's a glue. The glue is actually strong enough to hold the car together.
It takes 403 parts to build a single Range Rover body and just 142 seconds to get the job done per station. The constant hum of the factory is perhaps only drowned out by the continual ring of the cash register.
And last year we put £4 billion back into redevelopment, so we're doing the right things. We're putting the money back into where it needs to go to ensure that we have a sustainable future.
Finally, new bodies are ready for the cladding line.
The cladding line is where it all comes together. We got the tailgate, we'll then put the rear doors on, we'll then put the front doors on, the fender, and then the bonnet. And that's all the closures making up what is the body of the car.
The panels are shiny, but the craftspeople have been aged by grit and filled with determination.
23 years coming up now. Oh, it's amazing, the transformation.
We take a great deal of pride in what we do here. Always have done.
I've personally been with the company over 35 years, and it's fantastic to be part of this British brand.
I used to come through the same door 23 years ago, and to change it today, you wouldn't recognise the place. It's amazing how they've changed.
Our products speak for themselves. I really do believe that.
Every day, a handful of machines are pulled off the final line for a very detailed checkup.
We're in CMM at the moment. This is where we have the ability to take a lot more measures to make sure that the integrity of the parts going together is what we need it to be.
The tolerances are just 1.5 millimeters.
There's certain areas of the car that are more critical. Front ends, we start to talk about crash protection, how it absorbs, the roof, how well the roof does under impact.
There's literally no margin for error.
If that gets built up as we frame the car and then we put the roof on and then we ultimately finish it by putting the closures on, it's going to be completely out. At the moment, we've got 2 separate scan heads running simultaneously, and what they are doing is as they are working their way down the car, they are taking thousands and thousands of measurements. And all that data gets fed then into the computers, and that's where all the data gets crunched, filed, and that's where our engineers then are able to analyze the performance of how our cars are actually being built.
Key is the use of aerospace-grade aluminium. Using it helps the current generation Range Rover shed 420 kilograms from the previous model.
It's lightweight, it helps with performance. Aluminum is actually stronger than steel when it comes to crash protection, so we're actually making a stronger, safer, better performing car.
It's taken almost half a day to create a brand new Range Rover aluminium monocoque. Now it's ready to head to paint. For the majority of Range Rovers, that means moving to another building on the Solihull campus. But a bespoke SV Autobiography Dynamic takes a far more exotic journey.
The cars go through the body and white facility at Solihull. They're then extracted from Solihull.
Extracted bodies head 17 miles down the road to the Special Vehicle Operations Facility.
Special Vehicle Operations, what that means is we take the core Range Rover and we just make it more special.
It's the bespoke side of Land Rover's vehicles.
SVO is relatively new to the brand, and they build some of the special models, a bespoke thing, the equivalent of a tailored suit.
A tailored SUV suit that starts inside of a very high-tech and very boutique commissioning suite.
The purpose of the suite is a one-on-one experience. Customers come in here to create something completely unique, especially for our SV Autobiography customers. What we aim to do here is to create one-of-one vehicles, completely unique. They can bring their partner, they can bring their family, they can bring their entourage. We pretty much walk them through the commissioning process, pick up the samples, the tangible things that are around you. This is kind of the candy store.
An expensive candy store that's full of possibilities.
There's about 1.2 trillion combinations that are possible from within this room.
With 1.2 trillion combinations, it's nearly impossible for two bespoke vehicles to be identical.
Well, if you're spending a lot of money, you want to have something a little bit different than your neighbor might have, and SVO sort of provides that for the buyers.
The suite's main attraction is an advanced three-dimensional visualization system.
The principle behind this is that you use the screen like an iPad. You can manipulate the car. It's a 4K visualization using the most powerful back-end, the most powerful data set that we have, really to give the customer a lifelike impression of exactly what that car is going to look like when it's parked in the garage or on the driveway. Now, clearly that color combination that we have here may not be for everybody. Let's pick a different color. What would you like to see? Let's do red, and maybe even a yellow afterwards. Or maybe we can even combine the two. Not that we would ever condone that. So that gives you a very bright, almost fire engine red. And using that duotone feature, you can create something which is, of course, very, very leery.
The digital customization goes well beyond just colors.
I have the opportunity to take you through each of the different wheel choices that we make available to our customers. And we can do that for 27, 30 different wheels.
There's a lot of money in customization, so they want a piece of that. They don't want some outside supplier doing it, and probably not doing it to the standard that they want. So bringing it in-house allows them to not only make money off the wealthiest customers, but also create a car that meets their quality levels.
Deluxe high-end finishing starts when a body arrives from the Solihull factory and heads to the artisanal SVO paint shop.
In this facility here, we take a body shell in from a core paint shop. We then apply the base coat and clear coat to that body. We're pushing the boundaries as far as base coat technologies go. We're using technologies that core paint shops can't use. Spectral or chroma flare is a great example of that. We've also got colours with a very coarse flake, which the core paint shops can't use, so very much unique, and really the sky's the limit what we can offer.
Base Range Rover models come in 19 different colours, but at SVO, any hue in the rainbow is possible.
But then we also can offer the genuine bespoke option. That's where a guy possibly has another vehicle in a given colour, we all match that colour, so his cars will all have a common colour.
The range of colours isn't the only difference. Another is the time it takes to get the job done.
In a conventional paint shop, it will take circa 4 hours to get the car through the process. My process here takes me about 4 times as long because of the additional checks that we put into that process to ensure the quality is really where we want it.
The handcrafted approach requires a very special team.
And we selected a very, very high calibre of associate to work in SV. We've gone for the best of the best, if you like.
It takes over 8 hours for the base SVO paint process, but even that can be exceeded.
We're offering 2 colours that require a double pass around the paint shop. You apply base coat 1 onto the primer coat, you then apply a clear coat, you then stove that body. That body then is brought back into the paint application area where we apply base coat 2, and then we put a tinted clear coat on it.
The double pass colours take 16 hours to paint. Yet the dual tone paint jobs are even more intensive.
The duotone, I manually mask out half of the car. I then put the base coat, the colour coat on the upper part. I then remove that masking material and apply a clear coat. All of this is done by hand. This is all done by sort of love and attention of the associates.
The extra time doesn't actually amount to very much paint.
The film build, there's possibly 2 or 3 microns across the whole body shell, so the control is incredible.
2 microns is roughly the width of a human hair.
There are a lot of other SUVs out there, but they haven't got the heritage and the image that Land Rover gives you. This is the real deal.
A real deal that's been traversing the impossible for over 70 years. Yet before a customer can drive their brand new SV Autobiography Dynamic, it needs to first take another manufacturing journey.